Hi everyone. Happy Sunday. So I am coloring out of Circle of Life by, I'm going to put the artist's name in the description because I don't want to mess up her name pronouncing it. We're going to be coloring this page using Inktense pencils. This is part of Watercolor Summer 2021, which is my hashtag I've got. So this is a little different. I actually used a Christy Color and Sketch, and that's Color with You. If you're not familiar with her here on YouTube, she's a very talented artist, very talented colorist. One of my goals this month was to kind of do a color along with something somebody else did, maybe like, lessons or something like that. Well, back in May, she did a Color with Me video using with this image using the Inktense pencils. I haven't used them in forever. I have not gotten into this book because I'm intimidated by it. She made it seem really easy to do this picture, and ever since I saw that video, it's a Color with Me. I have wanted to do that picture, and I did like a couple weeks ago. I just am now getting around to the coloring chat. So um, I'm going to put the link to her video in the description, and hopefully she doesn't mind me doing this as a color and chat. I made a few little changes, but I didn't really change all that much from the original. So all the color ideas, everything is that's all her. So I just want to give credit there. But thank you, Christy, for posting that. It hopefully do, doing this will give me some bravery to tackle other pictures with Inktense and realize that it doesn't have to be super intensive to do so. So as you can see here, I am going in with different blues. I cannot remember the names of these because this was like 2 weeks ago, but they're all in the description. Um, like Christy, I colored over some of the items just because I am not a big detail person. And again, I was looking more for bang for my buck here in terms of efficiency. I didn't want to spend, 6, 7 hours on this. It still took longer than it should have, certainly longer than I think the hour Christy said it took her. Just because I'm not familiar with these, and I was trying to follow her tutorial. So, again, all that's in the description, so I'll come back to this as we go along if there's something in particular to note. But, oh my gosh, y'all. I'm so tired. So very tired and just sick and frustrated. But you know what? Today we're going to do something a little different. I actually made notes. I have some pictures I'm going to insert in the video. As you can see, this is a voiceover, and I missed part of the camera wasn't showing part of this. I'm sorry. What was that going? Done lost my train of thought. I have some pictures to toss in here. I am also going to, I guess that's the same pencil I've been using. But I think it's iris blue and the other one was like indigo or something. Anyway, so to mix things up a little bit, I'm going to hold off on ranting and raving about me and my health issues at the end just because I still need to talk about them, but like I know that's not the most entertaining thing, I guess, that is out there. So we're going to mix things up. I actually have notes. I have like an order and a plan for this. I know it's shocking. But anyway, I guess first up we're going to wait, is there anything else? I just want to make sure. Oh, this is also my very first picture for one of the scavenger hunt type tags. This was the Sunken Treasures tag for Jellyfish. So I actually completed a page for a tag like that. I'm I'm very pleased with myself in that regard. But okay. And anything else? Nope. Mentioned watercolor summer. It's been over a month since I've done a color and chat. It's just, it's just been that, it's been that crazy. So, cats first up on the docket because I know a lot of you, I mean, obviously, I love cats, and a lot of you love cats, and you love hearing about my cats. For those of you that don't know, I currently have seven. Yes, I've had more. I think 13 was my high at one point. But all of them except for one are 13 and older. So we have a lot of health issues going on. Usually, when a color and chat comes around, I have plenty to talk about in regards to the cats. Usually, not so great news. But anyway, so first up on the docket is Leroy. Here he is doing what he does best, get his ass in the way of everything. As you can see, it has become a very rotund behind. Um, Here is another shot of his butt slowly taking over my picture. This is where he earned the name Faddington Bear, and there is his reaction to said nickname. I swear that cat glares at me every time I use the name. I don't know if I can continue to use the name because I've never had a cat actively, dislike a nickname, but it's a good one, y'all. You know? Anyway, so back in May, Leroy, he's my youngest. He's about 3. He was due to get his teeth cleaned because apparently I got a lemon cat and everything's going wrong with him early on. They couldn't do the teeth cleaning because I thought he had a UTI, but it turns out he had not stones, but he had like debris. I don't know what that means. It sounds pretty gross in his bladder, and basically it just meant that stones are going to form if we don't do dietary changes and basically lifestyle changes for him. It could be because he's stressed out, it could be because of his diet. Um, this required a pretty massive diet change for the majority of the cats, and it has been an ordeal. I think we've finally settled into a groove, but it's tentative. He pretty much still refuses to eat the food he's supposed to, though he does like the CD dry. Um, he, the wet food, I can get him to eat the compromise, like the non-prescription food that's lower in like phosphorus and like the minerals that can cause stones to form. I can get him to eat some of that wet food and some of like the kidney prescription food as a compromise, but it's still not great. And there are time periods that he just throws a fit and says, "No, I want my junk food," and just doesn't want to eat anything. So he is pretty difficult to deal with. We've had to buy Feliway plug-ins for the house. He is on amitriptyline twice a day. His stress level's gone way down. Like, I think he's a lot more chill than he was. We did have neighbors move in with a bunch of dogs, and he does not like dogs. Even the sound of barking dogs, like, really throws him in a tizzy. For a cat that's such a big, he's not a bully, but for a cat that loves to chase some of the other cats around and just basically act like an asshole, he sure is a coward, y'all. Like, I mean, seriously, dogs, fireworks, rain, even not even storms, just heavy rain, and the poor things like trying to get in our laps, and he's not a lap cat. As you can see here, I am adding some darker blue underneath the different animals just for shading purposes. For the darkest color, by the way, with the indigo, Christy noted that, with the darker colors, especially for Inktense is very vibrant when it activates. So you want to be careful about color saturation. Watercolor pencils, like, I like using just one layer of those sometimes because I'm lazy. I'll put multiple layers down or put a lot of pressure on to get a vibrant color right off the bat. Inktense, you really don't have to do that. They are They are intense, Inktense, intense, very vibrant. So with darker colors, unless you want like a solid like black, as you will see here in a little bit, um, you want to go light on the dark colors because they're going to be dark. And the thing with Inktense is once it dries, you can't reactivate it. This is ink. It's not actual watercolor pigment. It's ink pigment. So, which is cool because you can go over it with other colors and don't have to worry about it mixing. But, and if you don't like, less is more, is basically what I'm saying. So, like, if I activated this, I realistically probably would have went in and done another layer because it wasn't as dark as I wanted, but I was lazy and I was like, it looks fine, and we went on our merry way. But just know that. So, anyway, went through all these past few months of just a lot of changes with the cats. And Leroy went in for his recheck last week. He still has the quote debris in his bladder, but they did an x-ray. No stones have formed. They couldn't really check his urine because homeboy had went to the litter box before we went to the vet. And let me tell you, he was, again, coward mode. Just hates the vet. Gets so stressed out. And I joke about it, guys, but I feel really bad for him. Like, it hurts my heart to see him so upset and stressed. It's just weird, too, because, like I said, he seems like such a strong personality cat. You wouldn't expect him to get scared so easily, but indeed he does. Yes, Reef Cheap. Reef Cheap's on my desk wanting me to pet him. Oh, and I'll also mention Reef Cheap briefly in a moment. But anyway, she said she's okay with that. It can take a long time for the bladder to clean up and heal up. So she said, because stones aren't forming, it's not getting any worse. So just keep doing what you're doing. So, not the best news. I was hoping it would be better, but I will take that because I really don't want to try to change anything else right now. So there is Leroy. Now I'll go ahead and talk about Reef Cheap briefly since he's right here. Um, Reef Cheap's got really bad ear infection in both ears. His right ear is the worst, as it usually is. He's sitting here cocking his head at me like, you're talking about me. Um, Reef Cheap is the youngest of the old cats, but he has chronic sinus infections and really chronic ear infections. We've been managing the sinus and allergies pretty well with a steroid inhaler, but he is still getting fairly chronic infections in his ears. So he goes back for a recheck Tuesday, and I don't think he is, after 2 weeks, I think it's still there, and it's especially in his right ear. And I think they're going to have to try to pack it or do something. So a little worried about him. Obviously, the more they have to treat him with antibiotics, the more it might become antibiotic resistant, which it already has to a few things. So, but he is playing. We have playtime every night with his favorite toy, Mousy, and he is doing really good. So, you honestly, other than his ear being cocked a little to the side, you wouldn't know anything's wrong with him. It's just how he's acting. So now I want to talk about Maggie. Here's Maggie, or Magellan, as the vet knows him, doing what he does best, hanging out beside me. This was one morning I was working outside early in the morning when it was still relatively cool, and but doing what he does best, sitting right beside me. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. So, Maggie, I believe, is 14. He has some kidney issues going on. It's not necessarily like the old cat chronic kidneys. At some point, his kidneys became damaged, and we're not really sure how or why. We've tried antibiotics to see if it's just an ongoing infection, and it hasn't cleared it up. So, we're basically treating him like a chronic kidney illness cat. So, before I continue, I am about to come in with a water brush. I'm using an Arteza water brush to activate these. I'm going to start with the darkest, kind of work my way out. With the dark color, Christy, and I agree, I also agree with this, suggested blotting on the towel every now and then because you're just going to keep pulling up a lot of pigment just to keep the color consistent. And I do that at some point, you'd think. I say that and then I don't do it. Anyway, I'm going to slowly work my way outwards, and then as I activate each of the blues, I'm going to mix it in with the color below. Now, this paper took the water really nice. It didn't crinkle the page very much at all. With a water brush, you do get a little more control. And as long as I worked fairly quickly, I still had, it was still wet enough that I could mix the edges together. It's not fast drying like Amazon paper, so, but it's definitely not like watercolor quality paper, so I wouldn't suggest going over it multiple times, like just giving it time to thoroughly dry between layers. So yeah, that's where we're at with Maggie. We've been actively monitoring that since about October, November. His numbers were really bad in October, and we were having to do fluids and a number of different meds. When he went back in May, we did a recheck. Basically, his numbers were unchanged, which for my vet, it means good news. And she said, you know, because he's doing well, he'll even stalk Scamper um, and howl and play around a bit most days. So he's doing really well. She said, let's knock out some of the things that we've been doing. Like she said, I don't think he needs extra fluids right now. She said he's well hydrated, you know, and he's doing really well in that regard. She said, let's see if we can back off. He was taking gabapentin twice a day because his type of kidney damage is causing kidney pain. So that's for pain management. It's safe for his kidneys. Um, we're also using a phosphorus binder. It's aluminum hydroxide. I mix it in a powder with a little bit of water because I cannot put it in his food. Trust me, he will not eat it. I just give it to him right before his morning breakfast, which is usually the junk food, like the Friskies and the stuff that he's really not supposed to eat. But the problem with Maggie, his biggest problem right now is weight loss. It has slowed down a little, but he continues to drop weight, and the vet thinks it's more muscle mass at this point, which is not unusual for kidney cats. Um, but we have been trying desperately to at least get him to maintain his weight. That cat used to be like 16 pounds. He was a little bit of a chonker, not like Leroy or Bagheera level chonker, but he was a pretty. Actually, he weighed about the same as Leroy weighs now. He's a bit of a chonker, and then that was the biggest indicator something was wrong because he dropped a bunch of weight, really fast, and we just haven't been able. He maintained it for a bit, but now he's starting to continue to drop, and so he gets friskies in the morning because right now getting him to eat with a kidney cat, the first thing is you want a kidney prescription diet. If they won't eat that, then you try to find foods that are low in phosphorus and the different things that affect the kidneys. If you can't get them to eat that, then you just go for regular food because ultimately with a kidney cat, the most important thing is to make sure they actually eat. So that's kind of, the stages you go through. And he was eating more of the low phosphorus, the middle grade food, low quality, not quality, low quality food for a kidney cat. He was not eating a bunch of the kidney diet until we did the massive switch with Leroy. And then I started putting more kidney food wet into his diet. He's not a dry food cat. If he eats a little, he'll eat a little of the CD, which for him is fine. But we really kicked into the kidney prescription diet back in when we did the big massive food change back in May. And he has taken to it well. Honestly, he is been more okay with diet changes than I think everybody else has. And his visit in May and then his most recent visit, which was Tuesday, his numbers are staying about the same. So he is maintaining his kidney values. So the phosphorus binder we're using, he did have to go to gabapentin back twice a day. He had a really bad spell about mid-June. I thought I was going to have to take him in because he just was really acting off. But I did fluids, I did, all the different things, and after a couple days, he was fine. So we're back to gabapentin twice a day. He gets the phosphorus binder just in the mornings. He doesn't have to take lactulose anymore because the phosphorus binder was making him constipated. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I am in an old folks home for cats. Like, this is the thing. I am the only nurse managing the old cat folks home here. And it's a delicate balance with a lot of them. But anyway, so we did have to do a few things. He is taking Serenia every other day, which is an anti-nausea med. Again, safe for his kidneys. His biggest factor with eating seems to be nausea. But he's eating a lot, but guys, he's still losing weight. He was down to 9.5 pounds. And I'm telling you, he weighed 16 pounds probably a little bit over a year ago. It's pretty, well, okay, we'll say the beginning of 2020. So again, it was hard to notice because during all that time, the thing was happening, and Annie was real sick at this time and passed away and stuff. And a lot of these issues didn't become apparent till after we got through. Just, it's just a constant around here. It really is. So she is trying it's an appetite stimulant that is also supposed to help with muscle mass. It's a brand new type of medication. She's like, we just got this new medication to try that, sounds like it is actually perfect for his situation. So we're going to try it for a week or two. We just, like I said, the goal is just to keep him, maintaining, because it's just, I can do everything in the world and his kidneys can be fine, but if he can eat all the food in the world, but if he continues to drop weight and muscle mass, then, there'll just come a time where he just won't have enough calories and body weight to support himself. So that's the biggest concern right now. But he is doing great on the kidney diet. Like I said, he gets some Friskies in the morning, but the rest of the day, it's vet approved food, and he has been really on board with that. So good news there. Again, not the best news, obviously. The miracle would be going in there and his kidneys are better. But at this point, I'll take what I can get with the cats, right? So he's maintaining. And a quick note on Winry, because now she is my oldest cat now at either 15 or 16, and she is now having kidney issues. Quick, before I jump into that though, you saw where I activated the blue. It did beautifully. It looks great. I just waited for it to dry. I'm coming in with the ink black or whatever it is in the Inktense and putting really heavy pressure on this. I want this killer, I think it's killer whale. I want this to be a solid black. You'll see below with the narwhals, when you use a lighter touch with it, you can get different grays. But if you really want that just dark black, solid look, you got to really put some heavy pressure on this pencil. So you'll see me do that here, and then again a lighter touch on the narwhals, and I did alternate it a bit just to give them some different color, shades of gray. So quick note on that. But yes, Winry is also battling kidney issues. Her numbers keep not doing great. She had a pretty big between April and May. She was well enough to get her teeth cleaned. Then they did pre-op blood work, and suddenly she wasn't, because her numbers just continued to go in the bad direction, which is up. And like that's BUN and creatinine and stuff. They want to recheck her in 3 months, which will be August. I have had almost zero luck getting her to eat kidney food. She just won't do it. She won't eat kidney food. I've had, except for Hills KD, I can get her to eat a little bit of that. But she is tiny. She's like 7 pounds or something. So this is that whole stage of ultimately you got to get the cat to eat. And so I have had a little luck with the Hills KD. It's like a canned kind of chunky. Oh, that sounds so gross. Chunky type of food. I can get her to eat some of that. Um, I can get her to eat a little bit of the low phosphorus type food. So there is a website. It is a kidney cat like help site. I think it's like Tanya's Guide or something. It's been around for years, but it is a great resource, by the way, if you have a cat with chronic kidney issues. She has like a list of foods on there that show like that have lower phosphorus. So if your cat won't eat the prescription food, there's some foods on there that can it's a compromise, right? And so that's what I reference when I say low phosphorus foods, because that is what I use. I'm going to put a link to that in the description, just in case any of you also have kidney cats. And it's been a huge help to me. Between that and the vet, I feel like it's really made a difference in the quality of life for the cats I've had that have had kidney issues. But there's no getting fluids in her in Winry. She's very flighty, very skittish. So the approach with her, as her kidneys, hopefully they have maintained, but if she continues to lose kidney function and drop weight and everything, the what we're going to have to do in terms of her care will probably differ from, say, like Maggie or one of the others that I could give fluids to, because she is just, it's not going to, unfortunately, it would stress her out so much. I don't think it would do any good in the long run if I could actually hold her still long enough to get fluids in her. And ultimately, as much as I, want the cats to stay around as long as possible, as much as I want to do everything I can to save them, it also comes down to their quality of life, and I'm not going to make a cat suffer in terms of those goals. Ultimately, their quality of life is more important to me than how long they're here. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Fortunately, right now she is doing really well. Like I said, I found some foods that aren't the worst thing in the world for her that she is eating when she eats. She eats like a bird. Trying to get her to eat more. She's been playful. She's been very, very active and normal, so things have been going well there. I don't even think she drinks as much water as she was before, so that's a good sign. And finally, Sidonia. She kind of crashed a bit in June. She got to where she wouldn't eat. She's had some sort of infection that she's had crud coming out of her eyes and nose. It's been really gross. They tried an antibiotic shot and it didn't work. So now we've got regular pink antibiotic, whichever that is, and that has she feels so much better off that. They think the vet that was there is one that comes in for like relief and stuff, just comes in on occasion. And she was looking at her record, and like, the woman is awesome, I'm sure, but I'd never worked with her before. And I said the woman, man, that sounded so terrible. I was just, why you gotta say it like that, Michelle? No, I just mean, as a person, I have not worked with her before, and she seems very capable, but she's also one of those people that is very animated, very bouncy. I went in thinking this is just a sinus infection, and like her bounciness and enthusiasm immediately does not work well for people with anxiety. It does not match well. And she suddenly had me very nervous for Sidonia when otherwise I didn't think it was a big deal. But she was looking at her records and she had noticed, basically we can't figure out what's wrong with her. Her liver is way smaller than it should be, but all the liver tests we've done have shown normal function. So, again, quality of life thing, it's either take her to a specialist, do a whole bunch of tests, do exploratory surgery, or try to treat what she's going through right now and leave her be. So, she'd been doing really well with that last approach until recently. And so the vet was like, the the liver test came back fine, but she has a lot of this particular thing in her blood work. And she said that is actually a sign that, her liver's probably not working as well as it should be. Having this in excess in her system is probably what's making her nauseous and not want to eat. She is also a very small cat, y'all. So she said, hang on. I had to mess around with the clips for a bit. Here I am starting with the various fishes and octopuses. I learned last night, per John Oliver, it is octopuses, by the way. That is the proper way to say it. I'm not going to go into the explanation on why, but there was a internet web exclusive thing he did. Long story. If you're a John Oliver fan, go check that out. And so all of these, except for the jellyfish, I'm using some different oranges, which is what Chrissy used. And then I came in and actually used some reds as well, just to mix things up a little bit. It's not a huge difference at the end of the day, but I liked it. So I'll put all the colors used in the description, but again, I believe they're all in Christy's description as well, except for the reds that I added in. So anyway, Sidonia, she said with that type of whatever it was that's in her bloodstream, obviously I have lost track. There it is, chili red and red oxide. That's what I used. You couldn't really see it because it's out of focus, but that's what I used. She said, let's try using lactulose, which is kind of like the opposite of Imodium for cats. I'm trying to think like prunes for cats, but in weird gooey medication form, liquid form. It's not like it's not good for hairball treatment because it doesn't. This is so gross. Why am I saying this? It doesn't coat the hairball. It doesn't have the ingredient to do that. What lactulose does is if the cat is having chronic constipation issues, it helps move things along. And she said there's something about it that also binds to whatever toxin is in her bloodstream. It binds to that in the intestine. And she said if you just give her a small dose twice a day, she said, I bet you'll see an improvement because she said, I think that toxin's what's making her nauseous. And she said, her liver's still fine. It's just not functioning as well as it should be. She said, I bet it never has been if it's been that small. But she said, this might just be enough to help get her, relatively back to normal. Because again, tiny cat, 7 pounds, her eating is a big issue. Eating with the cats is, as I've said before, always a big issue. So we've been trying that. Since I got the amoxicillin, I think's what it is, since I got the antibiotic in her, she has been doing great. Like, she is eating great. She's playing. She is out and about. She doesn't just hide in her little toy box all day. I'll have to show y'all a picture of that sometime. I don't have that with me right now. We have this random box of toys that we were throwing all their toys in that weren't being used, and we put it on top of a shelf, and she has now claimed that box as her own personal private space. So when she needs some alone time, I don't know why there's a pause here. When she needs alone time, she goes to her box, her fortress of solitude. Though unfortunately, Scamber and Maggie have figured it out too and will sometimes steal it from her. For the most part, though, she uses it. It's just her. So she's doing great, except she's useless and the rest of the cats are useless. You know, for all for all the effort I put in for them, you think these cats could at least hunt things for me and do, yeah. So my PSA for the day is cats are absolutely useless. Especially when you fatten them up and they, you know, they have food, they have free living space, they have everything they need. But I'm telling you, these cats do not have a resume. If they ever have to go out and get a job because mommy's all laid up and unemployed, they gonna have they gonna have trouble finding a job. They don't have any thumbs, so they can't, you know, just go to fast food or, you know, serve at a restaurant. And man, they ain't got any other skill sets. Because let me tell y'all, one of the big things this past month has been the amount of wacky, wacky things I have found in this house that do not belong in this house. So I'm going to show you the first picture. And I'm going to tell you, it's a spider. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you. So if you don't like spiders, you probably don't want to see this thing. So I reached out for suggestions, and based on our pest control guy, this monster is a likely confirmed wolf spider. So, yeah, if you saw this on my Instagram and Facebook, this is how long it's taken me to actually get to this story. I was back in the cat room, which is in the very back corner of the house, getting cat food out for the not my cats outside. And I started to reach into this box. And I into that box. And I'm done with the picture now. Y'all can come back. But you probably don't want to hear the story. But I saw that thing. Y'all, that spider was huge. Was by far the biggest spider I think I've ever seen, much less definitely ever seen in the house. That little fucker should have been paying rent. Like, he's probably got spider kids in college. You know, and that was probably his excuses. I got kids in college, I can't afford the rent. Like, had he stayed, he would have needed to pay rent. But he wasn't going to stay because, y'all, spiders. I terrified of spiders. Wasps and yellow jackets and stuff are only higher because they can jump and or they can fly and spiders cannot. I can at least, if a spider is crawling across the floor, be able to squish it reasonably if I have something nearby. Here I am activating all those oranges and reds, by the way. But I wasn't gonna be able to squish this sucker because he was, of course, in a shelf, kind of eye level, back behind other food. I froze. Froze. You could have just pushed me over and I locked up. And all I could do is yell for my husband because I was living my own personal hell, and there it was right in front of me, and its name was probably like Steve or something. So Brent comes in there, and I'm like, all I can say is spider and just point. And of course, he's like, holy, you know. Why am I filtering myself? I haven't filtered myself at all in this one. He says, holy shit. And so he goes, I'm going to kill it. You can go on and do what you need to do. And he walks off to go get some. I'm like, oh, no. Hell no. I'm going to sit right here. And we're going to make sure this sucker is dead. And I will send letters to his kids in college informing them of his passing and apologize. But I was, and guys at the time, had I known he was a wolf spider, it might have been different, might have been different. Wolf spiders are really advantageous. They actually will kill like brown recluse and black widow spiders. They're actually pretty beneficial. But y'all, I didn't have time to stop and asking what kind of spider it was. I did just, all I saw was Big Ass Spider, which is actually the name of a horror movie, by the way, I think, on Amazon. Um, that was all I knew that he was. And me and a big ass spider cannot coexist in this house. It is like a law of physics. It cannot happen. And so I was like, no, you go somewhere and he's going to crawl behind this box and disappear and never to be, well, he'll be seen again. But I'm like, he disappears. Again, we cannot coexist in this house. I will go, I would, y'all. I would pack my bags and go live with my parents until he could show me his dead carcass. And again, I am a very soft hearted person. And I'm like, Steve the spider, Steve the big ass spider. Don't take this personally, but we cannot coexist in this house together. And you are not in a location I can trap you and put you outside. Because had I tried to trap that spider, it would have landed on my arm. Had that spider touched me, y'all would be hearing it'd be R.I.P. Michelle. We're all gonna do we're all going to color for Michelle, who is currently like, because I would have fell into a bunch of litter boxes. Actually, you would have been all like, we're going to color for Michelle because she is currently in full traction in the hospital because she broke all her limbs getting away from a big ass spider named Steve. And Steve would still be living here, I'm sure. Anyway, husband comes back, tries to squish him, says he's dead, and walks off. And I'm like, no, he's not dead. And he walks off, and I'm like, I'm not walking off. He's like, I'll go get something to, we'll put it in the box, or so we can dispose of him. And I'm like, he's not dead. Whoa, that went out of focus. I'm like, he's not dead. And he starts to move. And I'm like, he's not dead. And Brent's like, he's dead. And I'm like, he's not dead. He's moving right here in front. So he comes in there and he's just, his eyes are big. He's like, oh no, this is zombie spider Steve here. Squishes him again. And then he tries to grab the box to bring the box out so he can dispose of him. You can see I'm doing the jellyfish now. I love the colors Christy chose for the jellyfish, by the way. And he brings the box out. Y'all, this zombie spider, Spider Steve, said he was living an epic death scene. Like, this was this is that horror movie where you go to poke something and you're like, is it dead? It's dead. And then they all turn around at the very end, the monster comes back to life and like kills them all. This spider Steve wasn't going to go out without an epic death scene. He just wasn't having it. He needed to have one appropriate to his status and his size, and the fear he struck in me. He leaps at Brent, leaps at him. That room is not very wide, but it's about as wide as, like, if you took two or three large litter boxes and put them, lengthwise, like stacked them together. It's about that. It's just not that big. But that spider leaped halfway across that room and landed in a litter box. Like, leaped, he had to dodge him. He had to dodge this spider. And I'm just over there, like, practically crawling up the wall myself, like, oh my gosh, that's it, we're moving, just burn it all, we're done. This is, this is not gonna happen. He does finally kill him, or at least kill him long enough to dispose of him outside. He was not going in the trash can, y'all. I knew, again, I've seen enough horror movies. I know what would happen. I'd be asleep and I'd wake up and all I would see would be him bearing down on me, and just no thank you. Again, giant spider. No idea how he got in. It wasn't near any doors. I cannot bear the thought that he come in and had been roaming around the house for a week. So our best guess, which is not the greatest, the most fun thing, is that he came in through the plastic packaging, where the cat, we get cases of cat food shipped to us for, hell, we've got 7 cats, right? Like, the amount of litter, and trust me, I used to haul the 40-pound buckets of fresh step litter from Sam's Club back in the day, and I am very fortunate I don't have to do that anymore. And I do feel for my delivery drivers. I do. I try to offer them water and say thank you as much as I can. But ultimately, we get our litter delivered and we also get our food delivered. Well, the cases come wrapped in plastic. Sometimes a can, and this is beyond gross, y'all. A can of food might get dented or cracked open, or something might happen in transit. And we get a lot of food shipped to us. It happens. Um, oh, I also came in here with some purple and green for some of the fishies too, which is a little different. I also come in with some glitter gel pen. That a lot of glitter gel pen. So that is something else that I did. I use a lot of different colors and just y'all know how I am about gotta get the dual metallic gel pens in here. Um anyway, so our guess is that, maybe there was a can, because every now and then we'll just get a really gross package where we have to throw the can away and clean everything up. It could be that he came in one of those cases because there was food for him, I guess. It will just say it's really gross. But that's my guess, is he, because that's where all the cat food goes. And normally I don't take the plastic off until I'm ready to use that case of food. That is not happening anymore. What is happening is that the food will come in and Brent will open the plastic packaging and ensure that the cat food is spider free before we put it back there. Because not again. Not again. I was so worked up the rest of the day, y'all. Y'all have no idea. It was awful. It was so bad. Oh gosh. Anyway, so there's a story of Steve, the big ass spider. I'm glad I finally got to tell it, since y'all have seen pictures, but I wasn't able to fully paint the picture for you, so to speak. Not a week later, y'all. And so, of course, now I'm like useless bastards to the cats. And I'm like, y'all are so useless. And a big spider in the house. And y'all won't even protect me. Like, for all I do for you. And not a week later, y'all. No, it was further than that. So, when Steve met his mortal end, Sidonia kept staring under the couch in the living room. She did it for like 2 weeks straight. That's all she would spend her awake time doing, was staring under this thing. Here I am coming in with those gel pens, by the way. Added in some pink, and I just added in some sparkle pop and dual metallic, just to give a little more color. I love the colors that Chrissy used, but and again, I didn't want to deviate from it because I just loved the simplicity of it, but I also just kind of wanted to add my own little sparkly iridescent touch to it, I guess, if that makes any sense. So I still don't take credit for it, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so she kept staring under the couch, and that was where I was like, okay, baby, it did come in through the front door. We'll leave the front door cracked open sometimes so the cats have access to the screened porch when the window's not open. Like early in the morning before it gets real hot or something. It's just easier to open the door than deal with the window. And we thought, okay, maybe he came in through the door. And again, he's been living in this house for, to make it all the way to the back of the house, he would have been living in the house for a while. So we thought that's why Sidonia's staring at the bottom of the couch. He must have been under the couch at some point. Obsessed with it. I thought something was wrong in her head. Like, I really was worried that, like, Oreo, she had something going on in her brain, because she just is like, it just broke. And all she would do is stare under that couch. And she didn't want to hardly eat. And, that was during that period of time I had to take her in and stuff. She finally stopped doing it. We pulled the couch out. We looked. There was nothing there. Multiple times. We didn't know what was going on. Then she started doing that with the kitchen cabinets, which she's done that on and off before. Like, if something falls or shifts in there, of course she hears it. I haven't even told y'all, she got caught in a drawer. She went in through the cabinets on one night. I woke up. Okay, so this is going to go a lot longer than this color in chat, or the actual color part, because I got too many stories to tell y'all. One night I wake up at 4 a.m. and I hear this just rustling in the kitchen. And it sounds like some dubious rustling. Like, I looked in the cabinets. It was beside the sink. I looked all in the cabinets and I kept hearing it. And I kept thinking, there must be an animal in the crawl space because that's what it sounded like. And then I started counting cats because our floors in the on the bottom level are kind of cut up. There's a huge issue with the older house having trouble accessing certain parts of our foundation. When we were doing foundation work, we had to cut up part of the floor. We were going to replace it all, but we were having to wait till we run new duct work with our new AC unit, heating unit, which hopefully will go in later this year. Anyway, I thought maybe they somehow figured out how to get into the crawl space underneath the house. So I count cats, can't find Sidonia. Can't find her, of course. I knew it was her anyway, because she likes getting in the cabinets. And I kept hearing and I'm panicking. It's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And finally I thought, let me look in the drawers. And that little hussy was in a drawer. I couldn't even get the drawer out because she was just wedged in there. There were cat treats in that drawer. And that cat had figured out how to get in the cabinets, up back behind the drawer and into the drawer, and she just about chewed one of the packages open when I so rudely interrupted her. I'm like, you little hussy. And so I had to take her out. Of course, now she's learned, so I'm having to block all those cabinets, and we're going to have to child-proof / cat-proof them because she keeps wanting to go back into the drawer. As you can see here, I am putting in a white gel pen, which is what Christy does. Christy does it a lot better than I do. I am terrible with outlining in white gel pen. It also doesn't help that my white gel pens just constantly give me trouble. But I did my very best here that I could do. But this is definitely an area I need some work in. So yeah, had that happen. Then she starts staring in the cabinets. One morning I get up and I'm like, what are you looking at in here? And so I pull out a package of tortillas that was in the cabinet, and that thing had been half chewed through. I mean, there was just a hole drilled down into the tortillas. And I'm like, okay, well, either one of the cats has developed a love for tortillas or something's going on. Then I opened one of the drawers that actually had little packets of popcorn in there. Oh my gosh. It was like a bomb went off in there. I thought, oh, we have a mouse, y'all. We had a mouse. A mouse! A mouse in a house with 7 cats. I have never had a live mouse in this house for like the 14, 15 years I have lived here because they all know better. Or at least, well, of course, now the secret's out that I have a bunch of fat, useless, lazy-ass cats around here. I'm sure the secret's out now, and they're going to come in droves. But the secret's out now. Apparently, they will stare where the mice are at, but they ain't gonna do nothing. Not that I want to come up on a dead mouse or an injured one. I don't want them to hurt a mouse. I'm just saying their natural instincts suck. I got lemon cats, thank you. So I'm like, okay, now we have a mouse. And mice are different than spiders because, well, I don't want to personally have one, and I know, like, just field mice, wild mice, you got to worry about like diseases and stuff like that. I'm not talking about pet mice. I don't want one personally, but I don't want to kill it either. The idea of the glue trap is just horrific. The idea of the snap trap was horrific. I just couldn't even imagine seeing that, hurting an animal like that. Again, spiders are different. Plus, the spider, we were trying to give the poor thing an instant death, and he chose to keep coming back. That wasn't on us. I at least will put them quickly out of their misery and not make them suffer. But, like, mice are different, and so I bought these little traps. They're basically small animal traps, but like mouse sized, and you put peanut butter in them. And the very first night I go to check that cabinet, and what do I find? Look at this little dude. He's adorable. I will give him that. But like, you see a little paw out there, like he's waving at me like, hey, what's up, yo? So So yeah, I got one the very first night. Like I said, he is a cute little sucker. I did wedge. Hang on, a lot of starting and stopping. I did wedge the cabinet so that he could get in, but that the cats couldn't get in. Because I did not want the poor little guy to be trapped and them just knock around the trap all night and give the poor thing a heart attack. So I released him at the edge of our yard. A week later, I catch another one. It had to be the same damn mouse. So he and I took a trip about a mile down, mile and a half down to the city lake area, which is like a little park, undeveloped area. And we took a trip to the lake, like I drowned him or something. No, I released him there. And it's been over a week, and knock on wood, it's been a little more than over a week, maybe 2 weeks. We haven't caught one again. So, mouse problem might be done. I do highly recommend these traps. I will be linking these. They worked out really well. And like I said, just a little bit of peanut butter. And so, yeah, useless cats. Useless. I'm like, and what's really funny is the day I caught that little sucker the first. What are we going to call the mouse? Mickey? Let's call him Mickey Mouse. Okay, fair enough. No, YouTube might do something with that. Mighty Mouse. Let's call him Mighty Mouse. First night I caught Mighty Mouse, I'm sitting there playing with Reef Sheep like I do every evening with the same exact toy because his other favorite is long gone, but it is this tiny little mouse. I think it used to be a Jackson Galaxy toy. And they don't make it anymore, of course. They didn't make the other one anymore, and it's fell apart now. But it's this tiny little mouse, and he's over there chasing it, and I just have this moment where I stop and I'm like, you've been training for this your whole life. Like, you love this toy. It is a tiny fake mouse with mouse or some sort of fake synthetic fur so that it's smaller than the one I caught. So you've been training for this for years and you're just like, oh, I don't need it. Like, and they know how to kill mice. Or maybe. When I was single, I found two. I found one that passed away under the dryer. Not sure what happened to him. Had to do the dead mouse dance, which involves a bunch of flailing and high stepping, like a rockhead or something. Because I had never had to deal with a mouse before. That was awful. And then I found one under the rug that was on the threshold from the utility room to the kitchen. Again, not sure what happened to that one. Not sure if he went under there or one of the cats. He didn't look like he didn't look damaged. So my guess is one of the cats found him and just put him under the rug for later. Because they're assholes. And again, had to do another dead mouse dance. So what are we doing here? What? Am I done? Am I done? I think I'm done. No, I'm going to try to outline. This is where the gel pen failed on me and I started getting really pissed off. But I wanted to outline him because I just didn't feel like it was complete otherwise. So anyway, they know what they're doing. They're well fed, they're got free housing and everything else. So yeah, have had all kinds of just vermin apparently. But you know, like I said, that one mouse was smart enough to come back in the house. And I guess he's smart enough to know the cats. Like, Sid knows he's there, but she ain't doing nothing about it. She's just, it's like a pointer dog or a pointer hound or whatever they're called. She's all like, oh, hey, there's a mouse here. But that's it. That's all she's gonna do. Like, she just can't be bothered to do anything else. She's just like, yo, I guess she had thumbs and like use a cell phone. She just texts me from the couch or something like, yo, we got a mouse. Gee. Anyway. I've spent all this time telling y'all crazy stories, but that's just, I wanted to save them for a color and chat, because that is just how things are going. Well, we're going to keep on chatting, because I got a few other things to tell you. Won't keep it too long. We'll try to keep it to, maybe about 110 or something here, but, Anyway, so yeah, that has been the entertainment for the month. I guess maybe that's what it was. They thought I needed some entertainment. Here's the official final picture. I want to say I love this picture. Thank you, Christy, for doing this on a video. This made me feel a lot more comfortable coloring in this book, knowing what water mediums that use water, how they do in the book. And it didn't bleed through at all. Gel pens didn't bleed through. So excellent. I definitely recommend Inktense for these books, and I will be doing another picture soon. So now that we've said that, all right. So as you can see, it has been this is just chaos. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm reading and watching. I guess I can touch on that briefly. What am I watching? I'm watching a show on Netflix called, I think it's pronounced Schitt's Creek, but it's Schitt. Been watching a little bit of that. That is pretty good. I've seen a lot of memes and a lot of people talking about it, so been watching some of that. We worked through seasons of Rick and Morty because the newest season's out, and we're going to start the first episode tonight. Super excited about that. Big recommendation if you like Star Wars. There's an animated series now on Disney Plus called The Bad Batch, and it is in the similar animation style to the Clone Wars. Very good. Very good storyline. I enjoyed it so much. I tell you, there's a lot of things that I disagree with in terms of what Disney's doing right now with their animation and their plots and their movies. But man, they are getting some Star Wars right. Like The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch. I am not the hugest Star Wars fan out there. This is some of the best Star Wars, and my husband's the big Star Wars fan. Even he agrees that these are excellent. The storyline in The Bad Batch is very good. If you like Star Wars, if you're kind of iffy about the animation stuff, I'd say give it a try, because the story and the writing is very good. We've watched some of the Clone Wars, and it's all right, but it just doesn't have the writing that this does. It's very good. I highly recommend it. Um, Speaking of Disney, we did finally watch Raya and the Last Dragon. I think that's what it's called. It was all right. I feel terrible saying this. I mean, I feel like they put out the live action version of Mulan. They caught a lot of legitimate shit about like their casting decisions and some of the things they did with the movie, and plus the movie itself is just it's just awful. Um no dig to the actors and actresses from that. It just the whole thing, it was all a mess. Never I haven't even watched it. Just no, just won't do it. I feel like they were trying to make up a little for that. So there were some things they did right. I feel like the writing was okay, and it was an okay Disney movie. I don't know why people raved about it so much, and maybe it was just because it came out at a time where nothing else was coming out, and so the bar was kind of set low as it was. The story I felt like could have been a lot better. You don't get hardly any information on the side characters, and I'm always a big side character person. And you don't get a lot of background on them. They just don't have time for it. So, but I did like it. I think it's definitely watchable. We also had to watch Central Intelligence again. Man, you talk about a funny, just don't have to think a lot, not very serious kind of movie. It's got Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, who is like probably my favorite actor and just generally good person in existence currently. But it I love it, and it made me laugh so hard because when it starts out in high school, it's in the same era. That was the first movie I watched that I just felt old because it said back in high school in like the 90s, and I was like, oh no, we got movies that are doing flashbacks to our timeline. Like, no, I am officially old, and I just laughed so hard at that. And there's just other things. Like I said, it's kind of like the Jumanji movies. If you like them, I think you'll like Central Intelligence. We watched it again. We liked it so much. My parents actually own it, so we've been able to watch it. It's one of my favorite, like, just want to relax and laugh kind of movies. So, what am I reading? Um, if you like lit RPG and d- uh, dystopian, end of the world, apocalyptic movies, boy, I got some recommendations for you. So there is, let's see, for the apocalyptic, Jacqueline Druga put out Winds of Aries recently. I like her books because I wouldn't call them like junk reads. That sounds terrible, but they're like Central Intelligence. It's like the movie version of Central Intelligence, where you get a good story and you get a good meaty story that gets quick to the action. Good characters, neat little twists every now and then, but it's all usually contained in one or two books. She moves very action paced, very just snackable books, I guess is the way to put them. And this one's no different. I like her books a lot. If you are just kind of looking for a quick, that sounds so weird, quick apocalyptic book, like a snackable type one that you don't have a huge long series on, um, I do recommend her books a lot. The only thing is the endings wrap up really quickly and you don't get a lot of side character action, but for one, to get it all in one book, I mean, that's kind of understandable. Lit RPGs. So the newest Dungeon Crawler Carl book came out, which is number 4. This is by Matt Dinneman. I Number one favorite book series in lit RPG, and probably favorite book series overall, y'all. The covers at first kind of turned me off because they just didn't look like they'd be that good. But oh my gosh, y'all, it is the character setup, the lit RPG elements, the just I call it the Adventures of Carl and Donut because Donut's the cat and their team, and it's amazing if you love lit RPG or fantasy type books. And they do get a little saucy, a little spicy. I say a little, probably a lot. If you're offended by that kind of offended easily, I wouldn't recommend them. But if you they're just they're amazing. I can't recommend them enough to people that like lit RPG and fantasy and don't and can take a lot of humor that they don't get easily offended by. So that's by Matt Dinneman. I'm also reading a series called, well, the first book's Ravenous. I'm not sure what the actual series is called, but it's a new author to me, David Petrie. Petrie. It's about a guy from the past that turned into a zombie. He gets frozen for years, and he wakes up, and it's like he's cursed as a zombie, and he basically brings upon the zombie apocalypse, and accidentally. He didn't mean to, but he also developed with the curse ways to like level up. That's where the lit RPG part of this comes in, and ways to level up and do different things like that, take on new skills and spells and things like that. And the first book's called Ravenous. I'm in the second book, and it's quite good. It's different, and with lit RPG, it's a little hard to find something that's just significantly different right now. They're all good, but something that just really stands out and makes a book unique in that genre. And so again, I recommend those if you like necromancy and stuff like that. Well, I mean, like it's a hobby or something. Yes, my hobbies include reading, writing, computer gaming, and necromancy. You know how it goes. No, if you like that kind of if you like that kind of storyline stuff, you'll like that book a lot. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up because y'all been staring at a flat picture for a while. If you're still listening, so I'm not gonna go in a lot of detail, but my family has had some health issues that have caused a lot of stress. I didn't sleep hardly for 3 weeks straight. When I finally got that sorted out last Friday, I had the mother of all like fibro similar flare ups, but it felt different, y'all. Like My chest and my face, I could not cool off. I had to put an ice pack on my chest in order to feel comfortable enough to fall asleep. Like there was so much inflammation, and ibuprofen was doing nothing. That's why I didn't do this last weekend. Still kind of dealing with that. Still not 100% back to even just functioning sleep. Um, my rheumatologist ran all these extra tests and proceeded to tell me on Friday that she could find nothing wrong. Um, I was so frustrated I couldn't even try to talk to her about anything, especially when she's suggesting Epsom salt baths and a heating pad to mitigate the symptoms. Yeah, a heating pad is totally what I need to put on my chest when I feel like I'm just about to spontaneously combust. That's a fantastic idea. Thanks a lot. Um, Hearing that, obviously she is not listening. So I don't know where I go from here. She did scare me, of course, at the end too, saying that she wanted I should go see my regular doctor for an EKG and a uh, upper chest X-ray to rule out anything. So now, of course, I feel like I'm scared something's wrong with my heart. And when you have anxiety and you're having heart palpitations and inflammation, any little pain or anything, you're just instantly like, it's my heart. Something's wrong with my heart. So now I'm just scared to death. I don't get to see my doctor till maybe Thursday if she can work me in. So that's where I've been. I was on steroid packs in June. I gained weight because of the steroid packs. And just, I think the steroids caused more problems than they helped. So I really don't know where to go from here. I just know there is something wrong. And so far, nobody's been able to figure it out. And now I'm scared it's my heart. So, boy, I summarized my health issues a lot faster than I did the cats, huh? Probably because I don't want to think too hard about my own health issues, but I'm okay talking about the cats. Well, it's already been a very long video, too. This week, I've got two recheck cat appointments, though Sidonia's might be canceled because she's doing so well. I have a physical therapy on Monday. Thursday's the doctor and my therapist. And Friday, I'm supposed to get a massage. The last time she had to cancel on me, so yeah, a lot going on, as you can see. I One of the blessings of not sleeping much when I first started was I was able to have time to color and be creative. And then as those weeks wore on, I have just been physically worn down. I'm not feeling great health wise right now, and I'm scared and I don't know why, and nobody can help me. And the people that supposedly are supposed to help me are telling me stupid things. And it's just I don't know. I'm probably going to have to go get a second opinion, but let's rule out me having to go see a cardiologist first, I guess. So that's where it's at. I'm trying to keep my head above water. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to make sure my contract gets renewed for next year. But who knows, right? I mean, just I'm honestly so tired and just worn out physically and mentally that I'm just at this point it's I don't know. Anyway, any thoughts, prayers, naked fire dances? I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not suggesting that for my own personal reason. I'm just saying depending on whatever your particular flavor is, anything you can do that might throw a little bit of good karma my way here in the universe, that would be greatly appreciated. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We've been talking a long time, but that should catch you up on everything going on here. You'd think two people working from home, and I guess we do tend to lead not the most interesting lives. I mean, we're not going like kayaking off the, you know, rapids of wherever or whatever. We're not, doing yoga on mountaintops or anything. I mean, we're not really leading exciting lives, but so every little thing like a mouse or Steve the big ass spider feels like an adventure in my head. But it's a lot for somebody that just can't juggle a lot. And I like talking about it because it gets it out of my head and hopefully entertains y'all a little bit as well. But it's a lot, I guess, when I look at it like that. I try to dismiss it as not a lot going on, but every time I do, my therapist is like, no, no, you have a lot going on. But anyway, all right. So, Tag Tuesday, George Tufexis's Around the World. I'm supposed to get it next Thursday. Some people already have it. I pre ordered it. I don't really understand. This is another Amazon pre order goof up. So that will be coming hopefully Thursday. We'll see what happens after that. I've got the live stream on July 31st, by the way, not 30th, because I'm an idiot and I can't read a calendar. I've got the charity live stream there, by the way. Donation link in the description. Still, we're close to the goal. I'm going to put an update up on Monday with more info about that. Anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. Hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's been long, but hopefully you've been entertained along the way. Y'all take care, and bye for now.